So a very warm welcome, sir, to the Skillbind education community. We are actually very honored and it's our absolute pleasure to have you on our platform today. So it's actually very rare that we get to interact with construction professionals and industry stalwarts like you. And the fact that our students are getting an opportunity to learn from the best is something that we are very thankful and grateful to you. So I just want to ask you a few questions that students generally have in their mind, a few things that would really help them in their career. So let us just begin with a simple introduction about yourself. So please just explain about your journey as a civil engineer, as how you started out as a civil engineer and how you are now leading one of the biggest consultancy companies in
I operate more from Bangalore.
Oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, right now I'm in Indore. That's we have one of our corporate office is in Indore and head office in Bangalore. So let me start with my journey. I'm probably, I don't know whether you must have gone through my LinkedIn profile, and that speaks quite a bit of my career path. I'm a civil engineering graduate from the Maulana Azad College of Technology, the then RAC, what was known as, and now it's known as the National Institute of Technology, and 88 batch pass out. Yeah, I'm born and brought up in Goa, and having most of my life in my initial days has been spent in Goa. I completed my graduation and then moved to back to the hometown, which was Goa. And of course, in Goa, it had very limited opportunities those days. So we continued, and I did a lot of good properties over there. The hotel properties, worked for some leading developers like Alcon developers. Of course, Alcon is now been split, and it's become a much more smaller entity. But those days, Alcon was one of the top developers of Goa. I worked for another real estate firm as Kurtaka Real Estates till the time I decided to move to Indore. So I last finished as a chief engineer for Kurtaka Real Estates. So I think I would have spent close to about 15 years of my career in Goa before I moved to Indore. So the Indore opportunity was because I was already doing a lot of hospitality and residential. So around 2001, 2002, the malls came into picture in India, and that was a new concept totally to the Indian entertainment industry, shopping mall, and that was more a leisure concept which got introduced. And I got an opportunity from a real estate firm then known as Kalani Industries, where they were trying to put up a shopping mall, and probably the first tier 2 town shopping mall of those days. And I got a little excited because having done a lot of hospitality industry, projects and residential, I thought the mall was something where I could give, of course, my whatever experience was. I moved to Indore in 2002, joined the company as a general manager of the company, and in the due course, the project got delayed. So we did a few residential, we did a few factories. Money was more into asbestos cement pipe and IPC pack manufacturing, and then they added a residential. Post that, meanwhile they were getting their plan sanctioned, and had some land issues to conversion of land from residential to commercial use. So that took some time. Finally, the project kick started in 2003, in fact, 2003. AR 2003 February. So it was the first tier 2 shopping mall of India. And at that point of time, it was about close to about 7 lakh square foot of construction. So 7 lakh square foot of construction those days were, still new. People who built 1 lakh, 2 lakh square foot of projects, but then this was 7 lakh square foot, and in a tier 2 town like Indore, which was still a developing city, and that was a challenging thing. We had architects, from the US being the concept architect, and the architects from Bombay being the principal architects. So for them to get into a city like Indore, they thought it would be tough. The resource of good contractors were difficult. RMC was unheard of in a city like Indore. Ready-mix wasn't there. In fact, even in those days, even in India, RMC was a very rare thing. People would use the normal technology of using a mixture batching plant or a mixture to do a concrete. So that was a challenging time. We had 3 basements to go through, and go up by another 8 floors. So that was almost going down 3 floors and then building up from the basement 11 floors. And that was challenging in a city like Indore, because where resources and technologically skilled team was very limited. We took the challenge, and we managed to complete the project in a very, aggressive manner in a span of 22 months. That was something. Those days were very unheard of. 6 lakh square feet in 22 months was not. Even today, it's a little tough, but we managed with what were hardships we had. There were fund issues, there were technology issues which we encountered, but we all could do. We had to, at that point of time, RMC, as I said, wasn't there, but then I managed. There was some road work going on where Ashoka Buildcon were, had their own RMC plant for their own use. I had to go there, convince them to supply, take this as a commercial project for us to supply RMC, and we managed convincing them, and they agreed to provide RMC. And without RMC, I don't think we could have achieved the 22 months target, because concrete was major. 6.5 lakh square foot had a high demand of concreting, with 3 floors of retaining wall, huge foundations with strap footings and all that stuff. So we managed finishing that, and in the meanwhile, even my career grew. From GM, I became the vice president, then the executive vice president, and by the time we launched, I was almost. By then I had become a celebrity in the real estate market, because 22 months, 6.5 lakh square foot delivered, and the entire mall opened with a big bang. So I became a celebrity, and finally the organization asked me to take over as the CEO, because the organization, they started looking for investors, because they thought tier 2 city was one of the upcoming cities for projects like the shopping mall. And then they decided to expand, and which needed a lot of funding. So ICICI Ventures came in as the angel investors, with those days when Renuka Ramanathan used to be heading the organization. And in fact, I was appointed as a CEO by ICICI Ventures for the project, because investors always want their fund to be safeguarded. So they said, that we would appoint you as the CEO from our end to take care of the entire thing, and that's how we grew. And the organization grew very well. And then by the time the Phoenix Market City team, the one which you belong to Bangalore, right?
Correct. Yes.
You the Phoenix Market City in Whitefield, and they have that Kesako and the other projects in not Yelahanka or Yeshwanthpur, right? So they also came in as investors, and they took a major shareholding in the company, and this company became their tier 2 development for more projects. So I continued the CEO for almost 10 years, and around 2010, I thought I must move on and start something of my own, and that's when I decided to give a break from the corporate field, because I didn't I had a lot of offers coming through, but I didn't want to get into a corporate field again, because I said, like, okay, money was not that important to me at that point of time, because I didn't have bank balance. So I said, let me do some entrepreneurial lookout, and that's when I decided to start this design and project management. Design, basically, by the time I decided to move out, we had already developed it into a backward integrated company, where we used to do all the designs in-house, including the MEP design services. So when I decided to start, I thought, then, we had the skill sets also to do the MEP design services. And of course, project management came by virtue of my skill set. And as usual, when the top management decides to move on, there is the second layer and the third layer getting a little disturbed, right? And they said, you are planning to move out, and what is going to happen to us? So I said, okay, if that's the concern you all have, I said, I welcome you, and you can come on board and be my partners or associates for delivering the design part. And that's how almost 7 to 8 people almost got associated with us, and we have the design team also set up. Post that, things has been good. So we finally got cracking with some good projects. Of course, we as a group helped us a lot when I decided to do my entrepreneurship, because they gave quite a bit of projects to us, like the Phoenix Market City, Pune, Phoenix Market City, Chennai, Phoenix Market City, Kurla, the St. Regis Hotel which was actually Shangri-La at that time, which was being built. So we got the opportunity to get associated with all these projects. Likewise, we got into healthcare. We did some good projects in healthcare. Then we got into IT parks. We did some more mall projects, hotel projects, and so on. So that has been a learning curve, and it was not a very smooth journey, but with a lot of struggles. And entrepreneurship is always a struggle. You always realize, even at the end of the 10 years, now we are already 11 years old, but I still feel I'm still a startup, because funds are always scarce, and it's a service industry. The project management service, MEP design services is more a service industry. So the kind of struggle you go through as an entrepreneur is immense. But at the same time, the happiness is, we've been able to expose ourselves across the geography of the country, did multiple sectors, leading a team of 70 to 80 engineers, or rather I would say, we were taking care of about 70 to 80 families, right? And that's what an entrepreneur is today. He may not run his family, but he has to run the other part of the business to take care of your children, as you call. So that's been the journey in short, right, Chetan? And we've had opportunity to train quite a bit of outgoing students from NICMAR. NICMAR Pune used to be one of our leading internship students. Used to come to us quite often. Goa, Hyderabad. Till the time COVID kicked in, we used to very regularly take students on internships, as well as also do some campus interviews and recruit them. Of course, the last 2 years has been tough, so we've been also trying to keep safe and to avoid too many exposure to site conditions, because there's a lot of workers, and I don't want the students to get exposed to this. But I think things are now coming to a normal. So that's what has been achieved. Yeah.
So it was actually really good listening to your journey. It's almost as if we got to live in that. So you mentioned about all the challenges that you faced. You mentioned about how tough entrepreneurship is, because growing up we've always been told to find your passion, do what you love. But then something that we are not exposed to, especially in India, is exposure to entrepreneurship. So growing up, did you always probably look at yourself to become an entrepreneur, lead a team of 70 or 100 people? Or was there some point of time in your career which probably showed a sign that you are capable of doing this?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's what made me move to entrepreneurship, because after having spent almost close to about 2 decades, more than 2 decades in the industry, when I decided to move out of the corporate life, I had already put in almost 23 years of corporate life and real estate job, and that's when I said, now it's time for me to give back to the society by leading a team of engineers and trying to inculcate professionalism and techniques of providing the best project management practices and the best value engineering design to the society. And that was the main aim. Of course, at no point of time I thought that this entrepreneurship was going to be my a profit-making business. But of course, as any entrepreneur, we would rather look at a bread and butter, to at least to move on. But then rather develop more skill set to the team which we develop, and we try to. We have always not tried to. We have always been working mostly, except for the Phoenix Market City team. We've been working with almost the first developers, the first time developers or the first generation developers, where I always found, we always have, our skill set which could be used in a better way. You get more elbow space to work with. They understand professionalism because, they're just getting into the, the real estate market. So that has been a great sense of happiness we always had when working with the first time realtors. At the same time, we had a huge burden or responsibility, I would say, because at times we needed to tell the first timers that you may have to change your business plan a little bit, because they come out with certain aspirations, thinking that this can be done, but then you have to say this is the reality of the business is that this is not what can be done. This needs to be tweaked in a way to make your business profitable, and not a what you call it as a sample case or this thing. So entrepreneurship, as your question says, it did open to me 11 years before when I decided to move on. I said I thought that that's my cup of tea now, and let's taste that. That's how I got into. So earlier, of course, I never had even a thought of getting into entrepreneurship. But 25 years back, when I decided to move on, I said entrepreneurship is the best, rather than get into another corporate life.
Right, that's excellent, sir. That was great to hear. So moving on, what would your views be on the importance of networking? So when you start entering the professional world, how important does the professional connection matter, especially in the construction industry, where we talk about how references are really, really valuable. So how much would you value networking in terms of construction industry and a professional who's entering the construction industry?
Yeah, so the initial days, I would say, it wasn't very difficult, and as I told you, I became a sort of a celebrity in the real estate industry. So initially, we didn't have any tough time to get projects, but I would say that you need a lot of networking. You need a lot of networking for you to showcase yourself as a professional project management company or design company, because you are competing with the biggies. Those days when we started, we had the Masters, then we have Clancy Global, you had Colliers, not Colliers, it used to be Synergy Development, which is now Colliers, and JLL, your Knight Frank and CBRE. All of these guys are biggies in the name. So we were one of the smaller project management team, and like us, I think there would be hundreds of other PMCs. But the only advantage we had is, we were not only doing project management, we were already doing design services. And secondly is, we came from a corporate life, from a real estate developer's mindset to be a consultant. And the greatest advantage I had is, being as a CEO at the helm of a large 3,000 crore company organization. That meant you were almost riding the entire organization, right? The profit center, the business model, and cost control. So when I decided to start my entrepreneurship, I knew well what was important for a real estate developer, whether it's a mall development or a hospitality or education or anything for that matter. There's a business idea put into, there's a cost into it, and there's a return on investment which everybody looks into. So I was very, very, very clear that I needed to take a tough stand where our designs are very cost effective, quality controlled, as well as project managed in terms of scheduling to achieve the project in the shortest time, because the more the project gets delayed, the cost for the developer goes up. So we were clear, because I have been being on the helm of as a CEO, I knew what was the nitty-gritties, what a developer would look at. So I was just moving to the other side of the story. And so that was a great advantage for me. So other than the networking, even references came quite quickly, because people started trusting me. Yeah, you delivered a 3,000 crore project as a CEO, and now you're doing entrepreneurship. That means you are bringing on to the table not just the technical know-how or the engineering project management skills, you are also bringing in the business management skills, right? So and most of my most of my clients today, even if I'm doing only a project management and a design, but I always give them a lot of advice in terms of even if somebody comes to me say, okay, I would like to put up a mall, I say, no, you don't have to put up a mall. That may not be the best model. You could do something else. So that comes in, and that gives immense relief to my clients, because that I come not only as a project manager, but as a business support for them in terms of guidance, which goes as a free advice to them. So that makes a lot of difference. So
that a company is not measured, it's barely measured by the projects that they've done or the numbers that they have. It's always measured with the people that are running the company. So yeah, so having you as one of the people who are running Convenient Construction Consultancy would be actually the biggest strength. So another question that I wanted to ask you was, I read in the article that was published by Forbes India that you've mentioned that one of the biggest problems in the real estate industry right now is that it's still unorganized. So what would be your views on this statement? So
Yeah,
what are some of
yeah. When I meant unorganized in the sense, one is unity. Unlike any manufacturing or any hospitality or any other IT sector, which is much more professional, much more organized. Real estate is not, because there's a lot of competition among the realtors themselves, right? And they don't want to, they have different views about each other, and they don't want to come in on a single platform. Although you have, the platforms like the Credit and the, real estate association, the developers association, but still there's a lot of unprofessionalism even in that. And second is, other than the metro cities, I still find, people don't want to get into a professional project management. They would rather hire, an engineer, and they would say, okay, क्या है मेरे लिए तो 50,000 में एक इंजीनियर रखो, मेरा बिल्डिंग बन जाएगा, right? So why should I engage an agency? But they miss the point, in terms of the cost at the end of the project. They would have missed a lot of things in terms of the cost. They would have realized that, since they have no voice in the project, I'm talking about the kind of customers, realtors. It's for them, they have no experience at all. So one is the engineering part. You are having some designers, but you don't know whether what is being executed at site are to that extent, complied with, those drawings are complied with. Second, in terms of purchase, they don't get the volume. So if you don't get the volumes, the cost goes up, right? I'm not saying we as a project manager, but any for that matter, any project management firm must be doing a good number of projects. So, they have a much better negotiation power with the vendors and contractors than a developer. I'm not talking of the biggies like the Prestige or the Brigade or anybody, but I'm saying the smaller ones. A project management agency has much more exposure all over the geographic exposure, whereas these people are limited to the locality. So cost management becomes tough if you don't have good team on projects. But at the same time, I won't say this is the case with everybody, but some of them really put up a good team and manage the show. Of course, then you have to spend money, and so vis-a-vis, just keeping one engineer or two engineers and completing the project, and you will find that the ownership would be spending more time into the operations of the company rather than a business development, right? His vision should be to do more projects, but not to do a one project and just concentrate on the operations of the the project or the organization. So he finds no time to get into increasing his appetite for getting more projects and develop the business. So that's been the case, and that's why I said, it's still very unorganized. Even today, as we call it, it's very unorganized in that sense.
So in spite of these disadvantages or the problems that are there in the construction industry, civil engineering had been one of the most sought out fields for the last 2 to 3 decades. But then lately we're seeing that from all the reports published, there have been a decrease in 8 to 9% of in the number of enrollments. So slowly civil engineers or students are opting out of the industry or of the branch. So when we talk about what would be the key reasons for it, I think unemployability, when a fresh graduate, when they try to enter the industries, they face a lot of issues. So what are your views on the current curriculum that is there, that civil engineers go through, and what are the challenges that they face when they enter the industry?
Yeah, Chetan, I think this is a phase which is a cycle which gets repeated every 7 to 8 years. This is a cycle which you see. So yeah, when we started, my career, I remember that initially, yeah, it was struggle to get a job. Of course, those days the number of construction was very less. We never had the skyscrapers or the high-rise buildings, as you call in India. Not much, but very limited. The biggest project would not be more than 40,000 square foot, 50,000 square foot. That's the biggest project they would be doing. And that's because the demand was much less. Your technology could not cope up, except for an organization like an L&T or a Gammon India or Simplex. Those kind of guys, you could manage better projects. But small-time contractors didn't have the capability to neither take up big projects, neither they were experienced to take up such projects. But as it went through, I've seen about 2 cycles where civil engineers became in big demand. Till I remember, till about 2008. Between 2003 to 2008, the demand was very high for civil engineering graduates. And in fact, when I used to be the CEO at those time, we found difficult to even get, civil engineers, because the salaries had skyrocketed. That's basically because, some of the colleges have shut down the civil engineering departments, and we had a very scarcity of, when the real estate really picked up, you didn't have engineers to. So there was a shortage at that point of time. So you found, the demand for civil engineers were very high. A guy who was earning 50,000 started earning about 3 lakh rupees and per month, not even annum, 3 lakhs rupees per month, 4 lakh rupees per month. That was the kind of thing. And suddenly there was the burst in construction, and the demand increased so much that there was more demand for civil engineers. So there was a huge rush for civil engineering, field take up. After 2008, you had a complete crash of the market, and you found everything, the real estate, crashed to an extent where it was becoming very difficult. And suddenly you found a lot of engineers come out in the field, but no projects, because the financial situation had crashed globally and could not support the construction industry. So again, then after that, around 2012, you again saw that there was a demand. So whatever engineers had not found any job for the last few years, again got to find some jobs, and then it went on till around 2000, till about 2012-13, right? And 2014 came in, and real estate has always been a cash-oriented industry, unlike manufacturing or any other kind. A lot of cash was involved. And 2014 demonetization came, and that screwed up everything. Again, you found then, the influx, there were so many civil engineers, but no job. So that continued till about, 2 years ago. That's just before the COVID. It was, the same. So you found a lot of real estate firms going bankrupt, because they had planned so much, and suddenly cash was not there, demonetized, no money. Loss of jobs. Loss of jobs means the requirement for housing was not there. People failed to pay their EMIs, which brought in more supply of ready homes, but there were no takers because of job losses and everybody, which again brought down the demand for civil engineers down, which continues to be. But I can see probably in the next 12 months, that the scenario is going to change drastically. Again, the real estate is slowly started taking up, picking up. And in the next 12 to 20 months, you'll find there's a lot of activity happening, and there's not enough professionals to do it. And then you'll find by the time that comes in picture, you'll find civil engineers being wanted more, and you don't have teams. So this is a cycle. So this is nothing and this happens in all industries, whether it's manufacturing. Like today, manufacturing is going through a tough time, very tough time. It's worse than the real estate. Real estate is doing well now. Since last 3-4 months, real estate in almost all the cities in India is booming. So that's but at the same time, you have mechanical and electrical engineers looking for jobs, because manufacturing is absolutely down. So this is a cycle you'll find with any except for the IT, which has been going on a smooth curve. But somehow, I don't know much about IT, so I don't want to comment on the IT sector. But manufacturing and real estate, it's something which you'll find this cycle quite often. Every 5-6 years, you'll find this sort of an issue coming up. But yeah, I would say the basic issue is skill development. None of the unfortunately, our curriculum, for that matter, in any field of engineering, whether you call it IT or whether you call it manufacturing, or you call it service industry or real estate, skill development in college is nil. So when you move out of the college, people getting into manufacturing and real estate find it really tough. IT is not that tough, because it's more a desk job, and to an extent, that skill development what they get at the college is continued in this. But for the other, it's a practically what you study in the college and what you actually come on the field is totally different. And you find a lot of students being the new recruits finding themselves finding it difficult. They say, what have we done in college and what are we doing? They think that we have done we are going to get a white collar job. They realize, no, we are a blue collar once we get to the field. So that's a problem, and that basically the skill development issue is still a major concern, and that can only get developed through proper training and unless the curriculum changes in the college.
So one very promising thing that we got to hear from you was that from the next 12 to 18 months, construction industry is going to be at a very good stage.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of fresh graduates or students who are there right now would be very happy to hear that. So when we are talking about them, what would be the true skills that they should be focusing on getting? So when you talk about an ideal civil engineering graduate, what are some of the skills that you would expect them to have?
Yeah, one, I would say, where, they are, when they are asked to do their internships, they should be serious about the internship. Mm-hmm. What we have found, for students who are coming to us majorly from NICMAR and other good colleges, for them, the internship is more a pastime or a certificate, just to complete the requirement of the academic needs or the part of their degree. But that shouldn't be. They should take internship as seriously as they take up a job. And if they take that up, when they come out of the colleges and look for jobs, they are much more confident. They know what is expected of them. Today, what happens is that 5 or 6 months of internship which they do during the last 1.5 semester in 2 breaks is more fun-filled, vacation for them. It's for name. They hardly take any seriousness to really develop their skills. What is development of skills majorly for a civil engineer? initial days, it is to watch and learn. Now, you need to observe. In this industry, nobody is going to teach you anything. You go to the site, all the engineers or all your bosses would be busy trying to execute the job, and you wouldn't you wouldn't be given a classroom session of this is how it is going to happen. Most of the time, you need to be, as I say, in the factory as a shop floor. You should be at the site, not in the offices, and you should learn from the laborers. They are the best teachers. The supervisors are the best teachers. Foremen are the best teachers. Probably the much better teachers than a very qualified engineer. Because even the simplest of tasks of concrete mixing, you can learn from them. Today, with the with so much of ready mixed concrete coming into the use of ready, I don't think any engineers who's coming out in the next by the time they reach my age, they wouldn't know what goes into concrete mixing, because they don't go to the RMC plant. They only find the concrete coming. So how much of cement is poured, what in it's only technically they would have heard about it, but they wouldn't be actually seeing how the mixing is done. So most of these people don't even want to go to an RMC and see, because they don't want to dirty their shoes. They don't want to make their clothes dusty, because you are at a site, it's a dusty environment. You don't want to face the sun. You want to get to the office, remain in the shade, have a cup of tea. And they soon realize when they come out that, we made a mistake. We could have done much better if we had. So my clear guidance to all the new students or people coming out is use the best time you get during the internship. Learn maximum as much as possible. And even after you pass out and you're not getting a job, take up an internship, even if it's free of cost, even if you're not paid for. People would prefer to sit at home rather than go and work free for some organization. I said, approach. Said, no, we don't want to get paid, but at least let me learn the skill. That approach has to change, and that can be only changed. I don't know how. Unless you're mature, you will not change it. And that's one of the worst issues with our the students which come out. I would say more, I find this problem more specific to India. For India, when they come out, they think out of an engineering college or an IIM, they are the bosses. Now they've done everything and they know everything, and we can do anything, whereas they can do nothing. So it's more that they should give more time towards the time spent at their internships, get more interested into the actual working of the sites, understanding how the costings are done, how you do the rate analysis. So there are various fields. Civil engineering is not only restricted to just the site. There's much more than that. Quality control, safety management, these are all part of civil engineering. Another thing which we have noticed, when we were engineers until about 12, 13 years back, we didn't, you didn't have much consultants on project. Today we have an MEP consultant, which means a plumbing consultant, air conditioning consultant, firefighting consultants. 2 decades back, not even 2 decades, I would say 2 decades, a little more than 2 decades back, you didn't have any of these consultants. It was the vendors who used to become the consultants, design and everything, do that. Now you have consultants, right? So what has happened is, the days when we got into the real estate field or the construction field, we learned a lot because they were no consultants. We had to understand ourselves from the vendors and understand the engineering part of it. Today, you have consultants. So what you need to do is you have to just see the drawing and just execute without going to the depth of the engineering part. इसने ऐसा किया, दिखाया है, ऐसा बनाना है, क्यों बनाना है, nobody knows. So that's the biggest disadvantage, because skill is not getting developed during the internship. Yes.
So I absolutely love the two advices that you gave, sir. Number one was watch and learn, especially from the laborers, because generally we consider them as the lowest in the organization hierarchy.
Yeah.
But then there's so much that we can learn from them. And the second one is that you should go and approach to the companies rather than expecting them to come and pick you from the colleges. That is something our students would absolutely love and probably implement in their professional careers. So coming towards the end of the session, there was one question. I'm very curious to find out if there was something that you would change in your career if you were given an opportunity to change something that you had done or do it in a different way. Is there anything that you would change it?
I would say, again, I will come to that main point of the skill development, and I would love to, and I've been telling my, HR team, and I have a HR consultant also. I said, it's time that, I need to give back to the society. So I would rather like to, our organization to approach the colleges and see for fresh recruits, employ them if possible, or else give an opportunity for them for 6 months, 1 year to learn the basics. And that's what I am looking at, by giving back to the society. And that's very important.
So truly, construction industry really needs leaders like you who actually care about how the industry is going to pan out and what are the things that they can do to give back to the industry. Sir, it has been absolute pleasure interacting with you. We got so much to learn, few things that we had never known before. So we're very, very thankful to you for coming to our community. Hopefully we can interact, have more sessions like this where students can join the session and ask a lot of questions about you.
Absolutely.